maybe one of y'all can help me with this. I raised my sons the way Mary is saying that we should,
Mary
as
Jane. I'm
parents.
sorry.
Yeah, Mary Jane.
Thank you.
Raises your son. My sons have been raised to have compassionate for other people.
And do you teach them, like, do you have boys and girls?
Just boys. I only
Or
have
just
boys.
boys? So do you teach? Okay, you're their mother, right? The
Yes.
first relationship any boy has is with the mother.
Thank you.
How much better? What better example? What better platform to teach your son to respect and revere women? And
Yes.
and pardon me, I don't mean, I said some things, and I'm still healing from some past traumas too. So forgive me. And I reserve the right to walk back anything I say, because sometimes I say things from emotion. If I think about it, it's maybe something I felt at the moment, but I don't feel that deep in my
here's
soul.
the question. I want your guys' help. Here's the question.
Sure. Go ahead.
I've raised my sons to be good people, just good people, and caring people, to have compassion for others no matter what. And my son is struggling now because when he stepped out into the world, when he started doing things outside, he started feeling what a lot of us have felt, which was being judged, um, hate crime and stuff like that. He started experiencing that. So, he has anxiety now, and he tells me, Mom, I thought everybody's parents were teaching them to have the same compassion as you taught us. But not everybody's raising their kids to be the same, obviously, because I've been targeted, I've been bullied, things have happened to me, and I'm a nice person, and I'm a
How old is he?
person.
How old?
He's 19.
And that's what I'm talking about when it comes to societal pressures and what's happening, because this goes back to when I was a kid. The things that have been going on have progressed so much. We're only becoming aware about it now because of social media and cameras.
Yes.
My youngest brother is in jail, and it's exactly where he should be. And there's a chance that he might actually get off, and he might actually be able to go free. And it's one of those situations that I am fighting tooth and nail to try to keep him in jail, because that's where he belongs, and that's where he should have been as a teenager, when he was running Suburbans into telephone poles and setting backyards on fire and slashing couches with knives. And
does he need to be in jail, or does he need mental health?
No, he needs jail. And that's the thing, is that there is,
you know what I want to touch on? If he had an inner circle, if we all have an inner circle, it starts
Mary
with
Jane,
that 19-year-old. I just want to say one thing.
Sure, go ahead,
that 19-year-old that she was talking, that her son, I'm sorry, tell me your name once more.
Christina.
Oh my gosh. And your son's name?
Matthew.
Okay, Matthew needs to find his people. There are other women who have taught their boys just like you. And Matthew needs to stay strong in what you've taught him. He needs to understand that everyone is different, but he needs to follow his truth, and he needs to find his purpose, and he needs to stay in the light, and he needs to keep his vibe high.
Exactly. And not allow other people to silence him, and not allow his voice to get out by all the negativity.
And the most important, this is what you all need to teach your children. The most important relationship you can have is the one you have with yourself.
Yes!
The one you have with yourself.
That's why I shut up.
Because everyone's going to be saying things about you. It's what you tell yourself. Do you get up in the morning, and do you get up and rise in gratefulness, even if you have clean water, even if the taste of your berries that you eat, the cereal that you eat, even if you're lucky enough and blessed enough to have a roof over your head and no fear that someone's going to take it from anything, do you live in gratefulness? That's what we need. So to create that feeling, you know why people get into relationships, and they search for other people, is because they have a void within themselves.
Yes.
If we were to fix what we need to heal within us, heal our child self, because things happen. You know, you go to a therapist. What does she say? What are your first memories from 0 to 2?
Yes.
You tell them. What's your next memories from 2 to 4? From 4 to 7? From 7 to 9? Things happen. And if we don't put them into perspective and then go on, we don't fix the traumas, then we cover them up, and life is happening so fast, we don't have the time. So yes, it helps if we have a parent or a mentor or somebody that's decent, that's good, that's not going to exploit us, that's not going to take advantage of us. We all don't have that. But that's when, Christina, I think it was you were speaking about a community. Yes, it starts with us, our families, and then our community. Do you know Hillary Clinton's book, It Takes a Village? That philosophy is so important, because it takes a village of people to watch your children. You can't be everywhere, but if a child knew that when he went down to the corner drugstore, if he stole that candy bar, Mr. Simpson was going to get, you know what I mean? So it's a small little community. It starts with a block, or it starts with a street, but to teach our boys to be every bit as respectful and to revere women and to put them on a pedestal, the way women can put men on a pedestal. We're all human beings, but it's the way men perceive women, and that's what changes them. That's what. Why are mostly men incarcerated? Why are mostly Black men incarcerated? You can see the certain inequities that were built into the system to keep people down. We have to rise up. And believe me, I'm white. I'm a minority. I'm a minority in my own country. I knew it was coming, and I welcomed it. I love my immigrants. I live in.
Okay. Let me add to this.
Mike, I have a quick injection here. The United States of America was founded by immigrants. We all are immigrants.
Look at what we did to the Indians,
except
the indigenous.
Exactly. They can say that this is their homeland, that this is their country. We are all immigrants.
Yes.
And we all need to remember that.
Kenya, stay here. You're absolutely correct. You know what? Oh, I'm glad this is going where it's going, because it needed to. Look, that's why I wrote, and Kenya, stick around, because I want to capitalize on your comment and talk about that. That was one of the main influences that got me to write my children's book series, What I Tell Myself First. And you touched on it, Mary Jane, because teaching things from a real world perspective. And Christina, I would tell you this. There are, you know who helps us stay in fantasy land? Parents at times. When the parents don't heal from their trauma and they lie to us. And not, sometimes they could be lies maliciously, or
they're unintentional.
Unintentional, yes. And when you sit there and say certain things like, you know, friend versus enemy, when life is not that black and white, there are associates, there are so many different classifications of things. It's like the trauma that you haven't healed from and mastered, you can't teach us the real world, because you're living in the lie. And if you're living in the lie, you're passing the lie to us. And then when we go out into the real world and life tests our gangster, we can't bang, for the lack of terms.
Right.
When those people, when we go to school and think, because in daycare, let's share and share alike, and then you go to bigger school, well, they not sharing at all, you know, and you don't understand that I like me. Not everyone will like me. That's okay. I like me. My body is what it is. Right. Failure is a part of success. If you learn from the failure, what did I learn? So I want to know.
And you only learn when you're down.
Absolutely.
You only learn when you're down.
And then the thing is, failure is a part of success if you learn from it. Change can be good. Change can be bad. Change can be happy. Change can be sad.
Did Christina ever ask her question?
Sure, go ahead.
No, was Christina
Yes,
ever
she
able to
asked
ask
about
her
Matthew,
question?
and I was trying to.
She asked the question. I understood the question she was asking. She was talking about, my son is feeling down, and what if anything
struggling.
can I do? Because in essence, life is testing her son's gangster.
Yes.
Is he being bullied? Is he being bullied for having that mentality?
But the thing, I can tell he's probably being, and I'll give her the room to answer, but I can tell he's probably being bullied for having that mentality because there's the lack of the reality that's being pushed out there. And this isn't any disparaging remarks towards Christina or any mother that is doing it. Kenya from Cali said something that I agree in part and I disagree in part. It said compassion is one thing, but boys should not be disciplined by their moms. That's a father's role. I agree in part and I disagree in part. I agree in part because, yes, you need to see that male, whatever the case may be, we can go there. But I want you to understand something. Mary Jane hit it on the head. A mother, you all as women are our first teachers. You're our first love. We get our nutrients from you. We get a lot of stuff from you. And so whether or not a woman can raise a boy to be a man, that's a whole discussion. That's a whole debate. But by God, you all are great teachers if you understand a few things. One, it's hard for you to teach us when you haven't mastered your own trauma. Two, you would end up wasting time and trying to teach us stuff when you don't understand how we learn and the environments that we learn best in. And then if you don't plan your lessons accordingly so as not to waste time, you find yourself teaching lessons ahead of the previous lesson you should have taught. If you're sitting here dealing with the first grade child and you're trying to teach physics, it's not going to compute. We haven't learned the basics yet. And so you have to be humble enough to say, what kind of parent am I? Take the word parent out. Let's put that in a box for a minute. What kind of teacher am I?
Right. What values
Role model.
What values do I want to impart? How do I want my child to go through life? In the light?
Absolutely.
Or, do you know?
Christina, I have a quick question for you.
Yes.
As a mother to that 19-year-old son who's struggling, what are you struggling with when it comes to your son?
Just seeing his pain. I go to therapy. My son was going to therapy for a while, but because I have traumas from my father's murder, my mother not being in my life, and just trauma after trauma. So I try to be very honest with my son about the things that I've gone through, the things that his grandmother has gone through. And I just let him know that it's okay to need extra help, or it's okay that he doesn't come to me because he feels like, I don't want to stress you, Mom. I don't want to add to whatever it is you're going through. So, and I tell him it's okay. It doesn't have to be me. But I want to just say he was being bullied just for being a good person, just for being, because we were from LA. He was born in LA. I'm from Los Angeles, California. And they have this belief that all LA people are like we're all thugs and we're all like,
I'm from the Bay.
Yeah, and the boys just they're down to fight, and my son isn't that way. He's opposite. He doesn't like to fight. And I've always taught them, like, be nice, be compassionate, be kind. You don't have to fight everything. You don't, you have to just learn how to defend yourself always, but it doesn't always have to be a fight. And so
I take it you're over 35.
46.
Okay. So remember back when we were going through school, we didn't have social media. We didn't have cell phones. We were passing notes, right? Take it back to then. Take your trauma out of it. Put yourself in your son's shoes, but back in your day. What would have been the advice you would have given your son?
Oh, I handled things differently back then.
Right. But it's social media. It's social media and the technology that is the corruption here. So if we remove that,
comparison is the biggest thief of joy.
Right. So
you can't compare. And when you look at social media, it's all fake.
Exactly.
See, I was raised differently. I was
Yep.
raised, my mom was a drug addict most of my
Mhm.
growing up. I was in the system as well. That's why earlier I said I can I understand both sides when it has to do with the Parkland shooter because I was also in the system.
Yep.
And I was raised differently. I handled things differently. I was like, hey, let's go, but I didn't raise my
Yes, I
sons to
do
be
know.
the same way. I didn't want my sons to have to deal with things the way I did because life for me was different than the way we have made life for my children. But the struggle of him saying, well, I'm good. I've done everything that you said, Mom, that I should be a kind person. I've done that. But people um, don't always accept that. And I don't
They don't
understand
validate
why.
that.
Tell him not to look for that acceptance,
Yeah.
not to
He
expect
doesn't need
that.
he does not need outside validation.
Right.
You
Yes.
need to remind him of that
Right.
because that's what
Exactly.
social media has done to our younger generation. They're looking for validation online and from their peers.
Yes. Yes.
That's what
You
we
validate
grew
him.
up with.
You make him feel like he's the most wonderful man in the world.
Tell him
That-
to
Oh,
take a
yes.
week off of social media.
Yes.
Have him
That's what
take
I
a
do
break
tell
from
him. I
social
tell
media.
him that he's a beautiful young man and that his heart is like no other 19-year-old that I've known. He goes into a Walmart or store, whatever. He tells everybody, good morning, hello, how are you, sir? And sometimes they respond to him and sometimes they don't. And sometimes I'll say the wrong thing. I say, you know what? Don't say hi to him. He's ungrateful. And my son will remind me. He will remind me of what I taught him. He reminds me, Mom, it's okay. It's okay as long as I said hi to him.
Yes.
I acknowledged him.
Let me
Yes.
interject. Let me
Yes.
interject this.
Degenerate
Give
just
him
made
the
a
power.
comment.
Put the power
Degenerate
back
doesn't apply
Hold
to
on,
you.
hold on. I want to say Eddie's or courts. Okay, here we go. Mary, Jen, and I got to interject this point. Go.
Okay. Give the power to where it's best spent with our children.
Yep.
Empower your child. Let him, everyone, I mean, to be a good parent, that's what you must do. And by the way, I'm going to have to go in a couple minutes, but I want to buy one of your books.
Okay.
I want to get everyone's number. I don't know how to do this. Like I said, this is crazy how it came up. And I had no idea I was going to do this.
Sure.
Me
so
either.
I want to get everybody's handle or whatever.
If
I'm older than you
want to-
guys, so I'm just getting into the social. But my daughter's an influencer here in LA, and I'm learning real quick. So
Look at Ken Ross got a whole law office. Mary Jane, what I can do is I can give you my
and
email.
thank you. By the way, thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Your
ma'am.
energy, I felt all of you individually and collectively, and this has been life changing. I mean, this being in
Yes,
a
I
forum
agree.
like this with
Kenya, don't stop.
feeling different things, and I actually will carry all of you with me forever. Because
Mary Jane, please message me.
I will. Can I have? How do I?
What I can do
I'm
is
sorry, my ignorance.
that's okay. No, that's okay. What I can do is I can give you either my cell phone number. I don't mind. Everybody's got it already. Don't matter. And then you can text me your email address, and then I can share it, and we can all